Welcome to Epilogue Podcast, the show where we discuss some stuff that happened on a different show ages ago which nobody really cares about anymore.
Hello, I'm Portponky.
And I'm LeBloc.
Today we are discussing Farscape Season 3, Episode 12, Meltdown. Talon gets mesmerized by a star, and Stark comes to the rescue. How did you find this episode?
I found it fine.
Okay.
How did you find it?
I really don't like this episode.
Ooh, why?
I didn't want to say that up front, because I did some research, as I usually do, before the podcast. And it seems to be generally a well-received episode.
Oh, okay.
But I just don't like it. I think it achieves very little. I mean, do you want me just to start blasting it?
Of course, always.
Well, immediately I'm going to draw a comparison to the film Sunshine, which if you haven't seen that, it's about a spaceship which has to fly into the sun for somewhat contrived plot reasons. It's an excellent sci-fi film. It's very, very pretty. Its soundtrack was used for trailers for about 10 years. And it's a good film. It's not perfect, but it's very beautiful, and it's got a wonderful sense of warmth and heat to it, and power to the star. So this is like that, but rubbish. Because it's just a bit bright through one of the windows, and that's it.
We never get a sense of the star's power or really danger. They say, oh, we're going to die, but then, I don't know, nothing's malfunctioning really, and it all seems okay.
Yeah, they're flying into a giant nuclear reaction. Like 20 million nuclear bombs per second. That's the sort of energy output of a star, and it just seemed a bit bright. I'm going to actually also compare it to another different, but I would say related idea. There's a famous German film / miniseries, depending on what edit you view, called Das Boot.
Ah, yeah.
Which is about a German U-boat submarine during World War II. And near the start, they first get onto the submarine, and there's a wonderful scene where the captain says, okay, this submarine is rated to 100 feet depth. And he gets them to take the submarine down, and they go to 100 feet, and he says, keep going, just keep going. And then they go to 150 feet, and the wall of the submarine starts creaking, and he says, keep going. And they go really far. They go to like 300 feet or something, and the whole thing is just like straining. And he says, well, if we can't go to 300 feet, we'll be dead within a week. So we might as well figure out now. It's incredibly tense, and that's another thing that like there's other examples in other films of getting drawn into a situation, getting deeper and deeper into a hole,
Beyond capacity.
Yeah. And it can be something that's amazingly tense and frightening, and it's just completely absent from this episode.
It's treated as a minor nuisance, really.
Yeah, it could have been like a space station that had weapons, locks in them, or anything. Other than that, there was sort of three main plot lines. There was John and Erin constantly getting porno music.
That music, I noticed.
Yeah, yes, it's really, really obvious sort of porno music. And it was kind of charming-ish. I felt it wore off pretty quick from the amount of times that it happened.
I didn't want it to return. I was fine with it that first time. Then it kept coming back, and its charm withered away.
The only one I liked after the first instance was when they're rushing to finish the job. That was kind of humorous. But yeah, that gets really tiring. Rigel eats a lot. Crace gets angry. Stark goes into a pilot's den. That was all really weird.
That came out of nowhere and then escalated instantly. It was very strange how that was handled.
How didn't they know about this? He just walks in. There's just a door. It's not a huge ship like Moya, and even on Moya they've explored pretty much all of it, I would assume. Well, there's a couple times they found rooms on Moya that they haven't seen before, but Talon is a lot smaller, and it didn't seem well hidden.
There could have been a door that wasn't a door before, so they tried it once and thought, okay, that goes nowhere. Don't worry about it. And then that's where the den was created. So now it's a functional door, but you wouldn't check a thing you already dismissed as not a door.
True, Talon is still young, perhaps still growing. And it can accept Stark.
Immediately?
Yeah, did I know what vestigial means? Because it didn't seem vestigial.
No, it seemed like it was new.
Functional.
Yeah.
I think the Stark stuff was lukewarm for me. I like Stark, and it's fun having him in control, like when he planned the robbery and everyone was at his mercy. But a few episodes ago, Erin got an implant, and her reaction to Talon was a lot more believable. Certainly there was a lot more time spent on it.
More than 0, yes.
Yeah, Stark doesn't seem to even react to being linked at a psychological level with a giant living spaceship. I mean, maybe that's just Stark, but it seems like they tried to put a bunch of stuff in the episode and didn't really have time. And I think it stands out because they did cover this with Erin a few episodes back, and they did it well.
I think you're right. They're retreading a concept they've covered, and they're not doing it as successfully here.
I didn't like his flying around effect.
Oh, I hated that. It was really distracting, and Pilot doesn't do that. So why is Stark doing it? Does he gain some sort of levitating power? I really didn't like it.
It's disorienting, and this episode went really over the top with camera tilting. So having a guy floating around is unhelpful. I would not be surprised if someone got motion sick watching this episode.
I can talk about something I liked if you want to break it up a little bit.
I was going to get onto some things that I did like, because there was things I liked about this, but why don't you go, and then you'll probably say what I was going to say, and then I'll be a negative guy.
Sure. Okay. I really like the intro where we see what we think is a reveal of what happened between Crace and Zalix.
Mm-hmm.
And then Crace turns to the camera and we realize, oh, okay, this isn't actually happening. Usually fake outs are annoying, but this one is different because it could still be true. It's just Crace denying that it's what happened. So they get to have both. They get to have the fake out and keep the tension. Usually those things are annoying because you realize, oh, this is fake. There's no tension here. You just wasted my time. But this could still be the truth. We don't know. So I really like how they did that. I thought that was clever.
It was clever. It took the obvious, I wouldn't say cliffhanger, but plot thread that's going to be in your mind from the last Talon episode and laid it bare. And it makes such a difference when they do things in a way that's witty. That actually wasn't what I was going to say.
Oh, good. So we'll have more good things.
Sure. I was actually going to just pick one random bit that just I really liked, where they start saying that Zan is telling them to do stuff. And Aaron looks at Crichton with a kind of slightly guilty but knowing look, like, this sounds like it'll work.
Her line is really funny too. I don't remember it verbatim, but something like, Zan is speaking through me right now.
Yeah.
That's what she wants.
It's so low and manipulative, but like how a child would be. I genuinely laughed at that. That was very funny.
She really sells it with her look. Hey, I know this is kind of morally reprehensible, but
Yeah.
this is going to get the job done, and we're going to die.
John and Aaron really do have good chemistry, and that scene, I think, showed it more than all of the scenes about them having body feelings.
Speaking of body feelings, I like all of the innuendo in this episode. I know I said it was annoying that the music kept coming back and we had sexy scenes, but they keep throwing out these little phrases, like manually prime the cannon, and when you overdo it, it becomes funny again. So I was fine with it.
I think the music was the real problem.
Yeah,
I think it would have been more stomachable without that bass line kicking in every time. There's a big plot thread I haven't raised because it's not good.
Is it the ending?
No. What about the ending?
I think I missed something. I don't understand why shooting the star froze it. I'm sure they said something,
Yeah,
but I don't get it.
no, you missed something. They said that there's like a frequency, an oscillation coming from the star, and then it changed the frequency and the power. So John said it's not a natural phenomenon.
Oh, okay.
And then they found out it was originating from a certain place, and they shot that place, and something blew up. So presumably some kind of beacon or something. We didn't get to see what it was, but he just said it's coming from a specific thing there. Now I was going to bring up the plotline of Mew, Aquilus, and Sergina, and their terrifying story of being trapped in a star.
What about it, though?
It sucked.
Oh, okay.
One of them looks like an angel, and one of them looks like Satan.
It would have been better if they were role reversed.
I think even that would have been not sufficient.
No, it wouldn't have, but it would be better than the obvious. Slightly. Maybe not.
I think that's what I would have predicted. This was somehow too obvious to predict.
You thought they were above it.
Yeah, it was too just generic. Oh, the bad-looking guy is a bad guy, and the angelic lady is a tragic lady. I mean, whatever. I cared 0%. I would have liked it if they were both evil. That would feel more Farscape to me.
I did like This is probably the only bit of that storyline that I liked. How Stark's first attempt to have her pass on did not work.
Yeah. So she was an actual ghost. And Stark took her to see Rigel to show that she was a ghost. That was a worthwhile scene.
I did like seeing Stark comfort Air.
Yeah, that was good. It just, they took like 2 minutes out of the episode for him to go talk to Rigel, so Rigel could say, "I don't see the person you're talking to." I don't know. I'm being very negative. I've turned into a negative person.
Well, that scene is important because we see Rigel eating a lot, and that is foreshadowing that Rigel is pregnant because he has these intense food cravings.
Sure, but here's the thing about that scene: who else sees Sierra, or who else has the opportunity to see her in the whole episode?
McQuillis?
Well, he can't see her anyway, but what other crew member? So the whole point of that scene is to demonstrate that other crew members can't see Sierra. And then when you think about it, none of them ever meet her anyway. So there was no point to that. That entire plot idea was just so Stark could convince her she was a ghost. And to be honest, I don't think people should be convinced that easily. Like, just getting one person to say, "I'm sorry, I can't see anyone else in this room." Then you shouldn't say, "Oh, well, I must be a ghost then."
She could be a stupid ghost. It's not as if being a ghost grants you great deduction skills.
But she has the same deduction skills as she had when she was alive. And it seemed like if she had been alive and not a ghost, that demonstration would somehow have convinced her she was a ghost.
See, this is why she didn't survive. She wasn't very good at figuring things out.
Sure, I mean, I don't know what her particular thing was in life, but maybe she was right into the occult and homeopathy and stuff. So as soon as someone said, "I'm sorry, I can't see you," she's like, "I must be a ghost now."
It's the only explanation.
It's such a strange thing to put in. And Rigel ate a lot as well. That's also kind of, whatever.
Oh, he refused to go in a small, tiny hole. I like that bit. Crace wanted him to go in the duct, and he responded by biting Crace's ear.
That reminds me of another bit that I liked. When Crace is bashing the door with the gun, and Aaron says, "You should shoot it," and he holds the gun up and says, "Give me your gun." Like, he's not aware that he has a gun. I think overall, like I've said before, I think this episode just dithered between different things and didn't live up to the potential that it had. Sebaceans, they get heat delirium, don't they, when they overheat?
Oh, yeah.
How would that mix with flying closer and closer to a star? There's fertile ground. There's plenty of stuff they could have done, and they didn't. But I will give them points because Crichton never mentioned moths.
Oh, yes.
Do you have a quote from this episode?
Godlike aliens. Man, do I hate godlike aliens. I'll trade a critter for a godlike alien any day.
Yep. That is actually one of my favorite quotes from the whole show. I think
It's
I've
so
mentioned
good.
it before when we were podcasting Deep Space Nine. Yeah, it's such a good quote. That's the thing that I did like about this episode, is that quote. I didn't know if you were going to choose it, but I'm glad you did.
It stands out to me because godlike creatures or aliens, whatever, they're almost always terribly frustrating because they do not use their power, they withhold, and it doesn't make sense why they would withhold. Why wouldn't they just do everything within their power and get what they want? There's always some contrived reason why, and so they're always frustrating. And then I felt the writer's frustration through that line. Stop using this device. It's stupid.
There has to be a contrived reason, otherwise they would just wipe the floor with them.
Right, so don't use them.
Yeah. Every godlike alien you meet is always really weird and has some bizarre moral code, and they either don't want to interfere or just want to do something strange in the corner. I like how he's divided aliens up into, I guess, regular aliens, but then the other categories are critters and godlike aliens. Because it's funny, but it's probably also accurate.
Critters are good.
Evolution is a very slow process, so if you meet another species, they're either going to be most likely way behind or way ahead.
Oh, I'm glad you bring this up, because that's never the case in sci-fi stuff. It's always way beyond or basically the same.
Yeah, you meet some civilization who's had a completely independent evolution and rise to the stars, and then your ships shoot each other and they both have shields, and it's like, oh, we're perfectly matched. Yeah, both of our species are 4 billion years old, and in 3 years development we would be better than you, so it's ridiculously well aligned. There was one little bit at the end. You mentioned the end earlier. Stark said he knows how Talon feels about Kreis.
Oh, yeah.
But he didn't say if it was good or bad or what.
And then he said if he killed him, he would still know, which confused me.
Well, you can't kill Stark that easily. He has been dispersed before.
He'll come back as a ghost that no one can see.
I think more to the point, he was just saying, I know the truth, and you can kill me if you want, that won't change the fact that I know it. Which is maybe wrong, because he wouldn't be anymore, so...
I think that's why it didn't land with me. I thought, well, if it's negative, and he kills you, and that's done with.
I think the point was you can't unknow something. You can't threaten him into forgetting it. It was a line with high machismo and low logic.
It's one of those lines that sounds tough in the moment, and then later you think, well, that was stupid.
Yeah, if I kill him, he definitely won't know anymore. Oh, I should have killed him. Anyway, if you haven't seen the film Sunshine, you should watch that. It's basically this episode, but way better. And once you've done that, we could always watch the next episode of this.
Can we do that anyway, even if I don't see Sunshine?
Yes, but then you won't have seen a rather good film. But you can always watch that, like, whatever. Yeah, let's go.